Lissa Maris, welcome to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm excited for today.
Thank you for your time and your energy. I'm really excited to get to know you a little bit more. We are working together on this amazing project that is announced at the beginning of this episode. So cannot wait for all of you guys to get your hands on this ultimate weight loss bundle. Mm-hmm. And Lissa is the brainchild, along with Chef AJ, of these amazing bundles. And we'll get more into that. But Lissa, I want to know about you. I mean, your Instagram handle is called Raw Food Romance. Yes. You love good food. I share that passion with you very deeply. And I believe that you believe that food can heal. And I think that that's pretty prevalent from the way that you show up on social media. And I want to know where this all started for you.
Yeah, sweet. So it started, way back in the day. I would say around 2001, I was 21 and I started working at a natural health food store. So selling supplements, and I started learning all about different diets and different supplements and everything like that. And I started taking classes to become a nutritional consultant. And it was a whirlwind because now looking back, I realized how much information is even taught in the natural health world that doesn't make sense to me anymore, right? Like it was a real big learning curve, because not only was I unlearning what I had already learned, but I was also battling with a lot of things like diet culture, restriction, or like these fad diets and all this kind of stuff, right? So I was trying to maneuver myself through there. And in around 2004, so I was around 24 when I was introduced to the raw vegan lifestyle. And it made sense to me because it was eating whole food, just the way nature made it. But I never had the vegan connection, for one, and I never actually fully committed myself to a raw diet, because I was still stuck in a lot of the diet culture ideas, and I was scared to eat more calories. I was scared to eat fruit. I was scared to eat low fat. I was scared to get rid of oils, because I was taught all those things were necessary. So I would try raw diet off and on for the next 10 years. And I would constantly be failing because I wouldn't be eating enough, or I'd be eating way too high fat, or I would just be in a restrictive mindset and just never having that vegan connection. So around 2012, 2013, in that area, I was about 32, 33, and I quit my health food store job. So I was there for about a decade. And I quit that job to work full-time on my photography, because I was a professional photographer for a while. So during that time, I joined the gym, and I did this 2-month kind of a challenge with other people in the city. And I went on sort of a keto style of a diet, and I'd have to write down what I was eating, and my trainer would check it off. And I was at the gym, I'd say 5 or 6 days a week, seeing her 3 days a week. And I was severely under eating. Some of the days I entered into Chronometer after a couple years ago, I went back and looked at my journal, and I was noticing some of the days were 800 calories, and she's checking it off. And I'm like, I can't believe that I made it through that. And I was eating very little variety. I was eating animal products at the time. And so after that challenge, I went into the biggest, because it was a very restrictive time for me. I went into a really deep kind of a binge style where I was eating everything and anything. It didn't matter what it was. I was eating bags of Doritos for breakfast. I was drinking a lot of alcohol during the day. I was doing 1 to 2 energy drinks a day, plus coffees. I wasn't sleeping properly. And I was just eating a lot of fast food and junk. And then when I would make food, I would have throw in the random vegetable because I'd feel guilty because I didn't have any all day or something like that. And I ballooned up to almost 200 pounds. And it was most of my adult life, I was always constantly trying to lose weight. But at this time in my life, I was suffering from a lot of other things that had nothing to do with weight. It was like I had severe acne, I had excruciating joint pain, and my sleep was disrupted. I wake up almost every night with heart flutters at like 2 a.m, and I'd feel like I was having a heart attack. And it was just a horrible time in my life. Like my menstrual cycle was way off. Like I'd go like 3 to 9 months without a period, and they'd be really painful. So I was just in the depths of despair, and I knew it was my diet. Like I worked at the health food store. I knew that I knew stuff. And I really resonated with the raw diet because I tried it 100 times, but I never did it right. So one night I woke up with these heart flutters, and I was like, that's it. I'm going to go back to raw, but I'm going to figure out why I'm not able to stick to raw. Like, what is it that I'm not able to do? So when I was doing a lot more research the next day, I realized that it was because I was A, under eating, and B, I wasn't eating enough. I was eating too high fat. Yeah. And I was eating like all these oils and avocado, and like, not that avocados are bad, but I was eating I was eating 1 to 2 a day when I was eating raw. So just too much fat and not enough of everything else, not enough variety and not enough volume of food. So then I stumbled upon a video, and in the comments, someone said, you want to go vegan? Watch these 3 documentaries. It was Cowspiracy, Earthlings, and Forks Over Knives. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to watch these, right? Because I wanted to ingest any information that would help me to change. And I watched those 3 documentaries, and I was instantly vegan in that moment. I was like, wow, it was like a whole shift in my whole entire life changed in that moment. So I became vegan, and I was like, well, I didn't really know that, like, I wasn't really into like the whole cooked vegan or whole food plant-based kind of thing. It wasn't really that prevalent back then either. So I was like, well, I'm just going to be raw again, because I assumed a lot of vegans ate mostly raw anyways. So I went raw, and this time I did low fat, even though I was scared to do low fat. And this time I ate over 2,000 calories a day. And even though I was scared of calories, and I ate lots of fruit, even though I was scared of fruit, I was like, I'm just going to give it a shot. And it worked. And it worked. I was like, I felt lots of energy because I was eating adequately. I had more energy also because I was eating low fat. I was still eating fat, but in an appropriate amount for my body. And I had this new motivation by being vegan. Like I was choosing these things, not only for myself, but for the animals and for the planet. So I was making all these great choices, and I was feeling good. And I started to lose weight, but it wasn't about the weight loss for me, because I was doing this for my overall health and for the animals mainly. So after a year, I would say like it was like between 14 and 16 months of changing my lifestyle over, I had lost 70 pounds. Wow. I healed from my cystic acne. I was having monthly cycles, and they weren't painful. My joint pain went away, my digestion improved, and I had candida overgrowth for like 15 years before that. So I battled with candida from age 20 to 35. And the candida went away on its own because I fed my good microbiome with healthy fiber, and the candida just left on its own. Like I didn't have to do any cleanse kits or herbal detoxes or anything like that. All I had to do was change the foundation of what I ate. So as I was losing the weight and stuff, I started sharing on social media, and I was sharing in some groups that I was in, and people were asking me all the time, like, how'd you do this? And what recipe for that? Blah, blah, blah. So I started making YouTube videos in order to answer these questions, because I was getting them all the time. And my YouTube channel just started growing naturally from that. And that's how it started. And that's where I've come today. So it's been just over 7 years that I've been raw, and around 7 years, it'll be 7 years in February that I've been on social media sharing the lifestyle.
I love it. Okay. So yeah, we need to touch a little bit on entrepreneurship here too, because well, it sounds like you were an entrepreneur before, with being a photographer, et cetera. But okay, let's back up. Okay. I will say I definitely understand what it's like to fail at raw, because I've gone raw multiple times. I've been plant-based, I've been vegan, whatever you want to call it, for over, purposefully not consuming any animal products aside from the occasional raw honey, for over a decade. And my thyroid crashed, and I definitely, it was after 15 years of being on birth control. And right when I hit that once I stopped taking birth control, my thyroid crashed, everything went berserk. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go raw because I need to heal. You know, I'm already plant-based. Like, what else can I do? Like, my body's breaking. These hormones have been regulating my thyroid and, synthetically for so long, my body has no idea what to do. And I can definitely sympathize with under eating on a raw food. And then just same here, like I would eat so much fat because I'm like, I'm obviously, I don't feel energized like I should. So I just need more calories, obviously, but so then I would try to get that through fat. And then it just makes you feel more sluggish. And you're like, oh, this is not working. Like, I cannot eat any more peanut butter and bananas. Like, it just makes me feel, yeah, I know. Right. Like I did it wrong. And I tried for like 2 years. Now I'm happily at where I am with whole food, plant-based, and I do eat cooked foods. I'm totally happy with that. And I feel really great. And, but I can sympathize for people. And people are like, yeah, I tried going raw. They don't usually last for a very long time. But so I love that also that you're saying, look, I lost weight, even eating over 2000 calories a day. And I think that that's something that's different even between the whole food, plant-based, like cooked world and the raw world. You have to eat more raw because they're just like a higher cellular energy, higher in water. You're not cooking the water out like a baked potato, like the water is intact. It's just feeding you in a different way. I wish I could name a scientific name for it, but it's different. So if you're considering going raw, if you're listening to this, like, you need to eat a lot. You need to eat a lot. You need to understand that you don't need to pound the fat, and it really probably focus a lot on carbohydrate, right?
Yes. Yeah. So my diet, kind of like my day looks like, I would say 70% of my calories do come from fruit sources, whole fruit. I'll make smoothies, and my dressings are date-based. So I'm getting a lot of carbohydrates in my salad dressing. And I do obviously use nuts and seeds because I believe that we do need a little bit of the healthy fats, obviously. But overindulging in it, that's where you can get the insulin issues and stuff like that. Like you said, peanut butter and bananas, it's like, that's such a horrible combination of fat and sugar, right? So, but it takes time to learn this kind of stuff. And I'm the kind of a raw vegan where I don't demonize cooked food, because I know there's a lot out there who are like, cooked food is poison and it's dangerous and it's toxic and all this. And I'm like, it's not. The thing is, it's not about being 100% raw. I'm 100% raw because I want to be 100% raw. I prefer eating raw food, and that's just my own personal choice. So I choose raw all the time. But if somebody wants to, I just hope that my posts and my videos and everything inspires people to add more raw to their diet.
Yeah.
Whether they go all raw or not doesn't matter. It's about adding more raw and getting more variety to feed their gut microbiome. Because most people, even a lot of vegans or plant-based people, are only eating a handful of things, right? It's like mostly pea protein, tofu, wheat, and a couple random vegetables or whatever, right? They have only a handful of things that they just make in different ways. And they're not getting the wide variety of fibers that their gut needs to thrive. And I'm like big on the gut microbiome. I'm always talking about it because it's so vitally important, and it's such a new science, and we're learning so much about it, that the more plant foods that you can get into your diet, the stronger your immune system is, the more serotonin you create, the better your hormones are, the better your sleep is, like easier to lose weight. Like, there's so many different things that the gut microbiome is part of in our health, and we have to feed them. And their food source is whole plant fiber. So that's what they live on.
100%. And I like how you mentioned on your social media, like, you have to start small. For some people, it doesn't work just to go raw overnight, like the raw, versus cooked foods. Like, maybe you need to start with cooked, like, especially if you're starting from like the standard American diet, maybe you need to go to like cooked plant, or maybe like for you, you just go straight raw, but like you have to figure out what works for your body. And you have to also listen to your body. Like if you're starving, you need to eat more food. And that's just something that I think we need to understand for everyone, in the plant-based world. Anybody that's transitioning to, whether it's a raw vegan diet or a partially, like a high raw, if you will call it that, or just a regular whole food plant-based where you are eating cooked and raw, like you need to eat more, because the food is typically less calorically dense, especially if are not eating like over an ounce of nuts and seeds a day, like Furman would tell you to do. And you're not eating a whole bunch of avocados. You need to understand the caloric density is lower. And I think that also sent me into a tailspin as well. And I really relate to your story, Lissa, when you say, that you just like, you try this raw diet for like 10 years. And then you just, started pounding the alcohol and drinking, copiously and eating the fast food. Cause I did that as well. I didn't go and eat fast, like burgers, but after I couldn't stick with raw because I was doing it wrong. It was not enough calories. I was doing it just completely wrong. I was like, well, screw this. I'm broken anyway. I'm going to go through the McDonald's drive-thru and I'm going to get myself some diet tea, because I'm just continuously gaining weight, which I was doing. I was gaining weight, even though I was not eating well. I was gaining weight because my thyroid was broken. So anyways, that's a whole other story. But like, I think that people can relate to your and my story both, like where you go into this extreme and you have no idea what you're doing. Like you haven't planned, you're just trying to eat the food and you're just trying to feel better. You just want to feel better so badly. But a lot of the times we set ourselves up for failure, and then we go into like a binge state and we're just like, who cares anyway? Like, this is not working. I'm just going to eat crap and it is what it is, and it's also a sign that your body is just like needing nutrients. So you're just eating all the things. So I feel like people can really relate to that. Okay. So yeah, on a typical day, you're eating lots of carbohydrate. Are you following like Dr. B's like guidelines? Are you trying to get 30, plant points a day? I mean, I see your food. It's a very wide variety of foods.
Yeah. So my husband and I, we one day after we read Fiber Fueled, we were like, how many different things do we eat in a week? And we counted over 80.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's all raw. Like we don't do grains. I mean, sometimes we'll do sprouted buckwheat in like a raw pizza crust or something, but it's not very often. But we do like sprouted lentils. We have like 4 different kinds of lentils that will sprout in a week. We do sprouted broccoli and radish and cabbage and all kinds of sprouts and microgreens and stuff. And my husband grows microgreens in the office. So we do have a wide variety there, just in sprouts and microgreens. Like there's like at least 10 different things that we eat in a week from those alone. And then there's different kinds of lettuces. We do cabbage and cauliflower and broccoli. And now I did do a microbiome test. So from Ombre Lab, my husband and I did a microbiome test, and our scores came back. The average was 83%. We both got 83% as our overall score, when the average North American only has 62%. So I was quite surprised. I'm like, wow, we're doing pretty good. My diversity score was 95% for diversity and microbiome. And in the test, like they tell you what kind of foods that would help your specific gut microbiome, like the certain colonies that might need a little boost. And of the top 5 foods that I got are foods that I don't normally eat. So I got sunchokes, fennel, endive, asparagus, pears. And these are all foods that I don't normally eat. Like I'm eating so many other things, but not these specific ones. So I've revamped my diet slightly, and we're now including those foods in our diets every day. So I found a place that has sunchokes that are abundant. Like they sell them pretty inexpensively, and I can get like 2 or 3 packages. How
are you eating your sunchokes?
We just normally throw like a little one into a dressing, and you don't
you're blending it up. Yeah. Because I would say like a sunchoke, also known as a Jerusalem artichoke, like they can be kind of hard to eat. So yeah, I would suggest like putting them on a mandolin and getting them like real thin,
Yeah.
or putting them in a blender and making a dress. I've never made dressing with that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I have a cheesy sunchoke dressing that I'm going to release in my app on February 1st. So I've been playing around with different things because they're new foods to me, and I love adding new foods. And I'm excited to see how my microbiome changes over the next 4 months as I implement these changes. But I'm working on a recipe for like a creamy fennel, like an endive style salad, like different kinds of recipes, including these foods that I'm including now every day in my diet. And with the sunchokes, most of the time, like we add it to our dressing, but we also chop it up, like you said, like mandolin it nice and thin, kind of like a radish.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like they taste like a bland radish.
Yeah, they really do. They're pretty bland, but they're so good. And, high in resistant starch and very just, they feed the good bacteria. And so I know that that's like with a Zoe microbiome test that I took, like it told me I need to get Jerusalem artichokes in my diet. And I have not yet. I got some this summer from a neighbor that was growing them, but I need to do that. So thanks for the reminder there.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. And it's been something that I'm consciously focused on adding every day to my diet, even if it's just one little one.
Yeah.
Even if it's just one little one in a dressing or chopped up a little bit in a salad, I don't even notice that they're in there. Yeah. And endive as well. The little white endive.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And I've been adding, like, we'll chop one of those up and split it between my husband and I in our salads. And I don't even notice that it's in there. Like, it's just an extra thing. Fennel as well. Fennel does have a little bit of a unique flavor because it's more like licorice.
Yeah.
And I've been eating a lot of fennel seeds. I actually have them here on my desk.
So good for your digestion.
Yeah, I sprinkle them on my, we add sauerkraut to the top of our salads. So I'll sprinkle them on my sauerkraut, because fennel seeds was another one in the gut microbiome test that I was told that I could eat. So it's really interesting to watch my diet evolve over the years, because as we learn, it's good to evolve and it's good to change and it's good to embrace new science and question things, right? Like I could have stuck in like the only fruit crew and just like not added variety and been scared of greens. Like I know there's a lot of people who just don't eat greens because they don't believe they're human food, but I'm like, but they're microbiome food, right? Like we need to eat these wide variety of foods. And I feel like I've been so successful on this raw diet because I'm not restrictive with my food choices and I eat a wide variety, very abundant, and I'm not scared to eat these certain foods because I believe that they're truly, truly beneficial to us. And I see, like, I coach a lot of people too. And the number one reason why people fall off of a raw diet is they're not eating enough. Like you said, they're not eating enough variety and they're eating too high fat. So it's like, it's a common thread among everyone who's having issues. So
I think that brings me to a good point. Like, let's talk about sprouting, because I do know a lot of people in the raw world, they're not eating any grains. They're not eating any beans. And of course you have to sprout them if you're going to eat them raw. Just FYI to the listener, if you can't go in and eat a raw bean and you can't go and eat raw grains, unless they're sprouted, because they become a whole plant food at that point, or they, become a digestible food at that point. So do you guide people, Lissa, on how to sprout? Where did you learn about sprouting? I mean, was there a specific person like Doug Evans or somebody that inspired you to sprout? Where did it all start?
Yeah. So I started learning more about sprouts like early on in the journey, because I did sprouts right from the very beginning, and I would buy like boxes of lentils. The reason why I would say the main person who inspired me was Dr. Greger. Because in his list was always like legumes, 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 legumes. And I'm I need legumes, but I don't want to cook them.
Yeah, I get you. Okay.
Right. And I prefer the freshness anyways from sprouts over the cooked, because I never, like, even in my past, I never really got into the cooked beans. It just wasn't. And I never got into rice either. For me, it was the wheat. And potatoes. I was like a hardcore potato person. Yeah. But it was to the point where I'd only eat potatoes. Like I wouldn't eat any other variety. So that's one big reason why they're not in my diet, because that would be the majority of my diet. And I would prefer variety, so it's easier just not to have them. But that's just me, right? Let's not say potatoes are evil or anything like that. But so I started, it was Dr. Greger, and I learned how to sprout just online. I kind of learned how to do it myself. And now my husband is like seriously into it. He loves, it's like, because he can see it grow, and he's really hands-on. Like he likes to touch stuff, like have, instead of like digital products per se, he likes to be able to see it grow and to be hands-on with it. So he grows lots of microgreens in our office. We have trays and trays of them, different varieties that we can get, but the sprouts are so easy. Like all you have to do is soak them for 12 hours, give or take. Like we just soak them overnight. And then the next 3 days we rinse and fully drain the seeds 3 times a day. And in 3 days we've got sprouts. So it's super easy. Like we're rinsing them whenever we go in the kitchen, we'll run them through the filtered water and we'll just rinse them. And we've got sprouts that we add to our salads. We'll eat on average between the two of us, I would say 2 to 4 cups worth of sprouts a day we're adding to our salads. Depends on the day, depends on what we have growing. But normally it's a cup of lentils and a cup of a variety of other different things. So we are, I've always known that legumes are a very, very important part of a plant-based diet or a healthy diet in general. And so I really valued adding those to my raw diet, even though, like you said, a lot of raw foodies don't do sprouts. And they're way more focused on the fruit, which fruit's amazing. Fruit is wonderful. It's got the calories, it's got the hydration, but we still need so much other variety from other things, like the greens and the veggies and the roots and the sprouts and the microgreens, herbs, and all, like we need it all. And so I don't put all of my choices in like one food group. I try to keep it as balanced as possible. And I think that's why I've been so successful over the years.
Yeah. Your microbiome's happy.
He's very happy.
Yay, I'm thriving. Yay. Okay. So are you using the ball jars for sprouting, or do you have like special like big, I know they make big, large plastic trays?
For the sprouting, we use, just a regular mason jar. We have like the mesh lid. We also have the really big jars. I think.
Same here. We use a half gallon.
We have those too that we use sometimes, like if we're making like bigger batches, but because we like to add variety, we use a smaller amount of like different types of variety. So the smaller, I think they're 32-ounce jars we'll use the 32-ounce jars, and we'll just make more variety instead of like big jars of just one variety. So
you guys can find sprouting lids on Amazon like super easy. They're super cheap. And have you ever tried onion sprouts? We'll get off the sprout. Okay, onion sprouts are my favorite thing in the world.
Me too.
Aside from like sapodilla and egg fruit.
Oh, egg fruit's so good. Oh my gosh. Yeah, onion. I know I am so into onion and garlic, anything like leek sprouts. There's a farmer here who grows microgreens who we've become friends with, and he's got leek microgreens.
Oh yeah. We've grown them. We sell microgreens at the farmer's market.
Nice.
And we've tried amaranth microgreens, red amaranth. Oh my God. They're so beautiful.
Pretty.
And so good. Okay. We can do that. All right. We don't have all the time in the world. Okay, hold on. Let's shift from food, Lissa, to, you started this YouTube channel 7 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Around there.
You just wanted to share the love. You wanted to share, how your life has transformed. You wanted to give answers to people that were all curious about how you're succeeding. How did that blossom into a business, which I would say from the outside looking in is thriving now?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I absolutely love doing what I do. And my number one main focus is to help people. And the money that comes in is just a bonus. It's just, it allows me to do what I do. right? So everyone who buys my ebooks, who buys the bundles, who buys anything like that, that supports me to be able to continue doing what I do. Which is, I mean, I spend like hours a day in direct messages helping people, and people don't see that on social media. They just see my pretty pictures. They see a couple reels, they see my stories, like whatever I share. But what they don't see is the hours that I spend answering pretty much every single message that I get. And I try to reply to all the comments, and I genuinely want to help people, because when I first started Raw, it was really hard to find someone that I could talk to or that I could ask questions to. And even if I did ask a question, sometimes I didn't get a response. And I'm like, I just need to know this thing. So I had to research it on my own and whatever. But I want to be the person that I wish that I had when I first started. So I want to be able to help people. And I know as I grow, it's going to get harder and harder to be able to reply to everybody, but I still do. Even I'm almost at 100,000 on Instagram, and I'm still able to reply to everybody's direct messages and to be able to answer questions. I like to do voice text back because it's a lot easier than typing. So I'll do that a lot. But yeah, if I get like a question that pops up often, then I'll just make a YouTube video about it, because if it's popping up often, then there's obviously going to be other people with that question. And Nate and I go out to the desert about once a week and we film YouTube videos. We haven't been able to lately because it's been so busy, but we like to go out to the desert and we'll film a bunch of YouTube videos so that I can post them throughout the weeks on my channel. But definitely love how everything has grown. And I love creating recipes. That's my deepest passion, is creating recipes and taking the photos, because I'm a photographer artist at heart. So originally, when I came up with Raw Food Romance, I wanted to combine my love of photography with my love of raw food. So that's where the romance part came in, because I was like, I just love raw food. I just love it. And it's not, I don't choose raw because I have to, or because I'm scared of cooked food, or because if I don't, I'm going to get sick or whatever. Like, I don't choose raw because of those reasons. I choose raw because I genuinely love raw. And that's what I want. Right. And that really honestly releases a lot of the pressure to be perfect, because I'm not about that at all. Like, I try to poke holes in diet culture here and there, right? Because I don't want people to feel like they have to do it. I want people to want to do it. I want them to want to eat more raw food and want to love their body. And like, even with exercise, for example, people think exercise equals weight loss. But it's like, exercise is so much more than a weight loss tool. Like, that's like the last thing on the list, right? There's so many things that it does that are good for you. And you should want to exercise because you love your body, not because you hate it, right? You should want to eat good because you love your body, not because you hate it. So I
love that. So
my message.
how often are you going out? Well, you're saying you're going out to the desert to film these. Are you outside the whole time? Okay. So you're filming these. Okay. And now how often are you airing YouTube? And do you have a crew aside from you and just you and your husband, like helping you air all of this? I feel like right now you're still doing it all on your own.
Yep. It's all me. I feel like I work all the time, but my husband helps me a lot. Like, he makes a lot of the food right now. He does a lot of the grocery shopping and stuff. So it allows me time to do what I do at home too. So that helps a lot. But I'm still in the kitchen here and there. Making stuff. Like, if I want to build a reel, I'll just record myself filming or whatever. But when we do go out to the desert, we go out with an idea. Like, we'll plan the night before which video topics we want to talk about. And then we drive out to the desert and we'll find our spot. And I basically just record video after video after video. And I try to keep them like 5 to 10 minutes long. So I can post a video every single day and not have to have one huge long, like hour-and-a-half video that I only post once a month or something like that, right? Like, I try to have little tidbits of information, so it's more of a consistent drip onto YouTube. But I do go through many periods of time where I don't post anything for like a month or two, because I'm busy doing other things, right? So
do you have a podcast?
I do, but I haven't posted anything in there in years.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that can still be a really great resource for people to go and binge listen to if they want to. In addition,
I have a few videos up there right now. There was something that happened that deleted a lot of the videos or the podcasts that I had on there, which sucks. But I am thinking of actually like downloading some of the YouTube videos or older YouTube videos that are really powerful and adding them to my podcast just as
Totally.
yeah. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
lots of work to do.
Repurpose that content, Lisa.
Yeah.
Repurpose it. Man, you're making me feel like I'm like, I need a VA and I have like 10,000 followers and you're like 100,000 followers and you're getting into DMs. I'm like, how is she doing all of this? So your husband's helping you. Does he work aside from?
Yeah, he takes calls for a Canadian company right now. He does kind of sales or whatever, but he also builds his social media and he creates products for the bundles and for himself. Like he's written 3 books now, Alive, which teaches how to grow sprouts and microgreens. Right now he's creating a mini course and he's going to call it Microgreen Sprouts and Krauts on like all microbiome focused. And yeah, and he's got an ice cream book and a meal plan that he wrote as well. So he's trying to grow he's got a YouTube channel too, Raw Natty Nate. And we work together to try and build both of our platforms. But he does, like I said, he does a lot of the food creation now and he goes shopping, he goes grocery shopping and I just stay home and like editing videos and like replying to emails. But when you said like getting into the DMs, I'm very, very focused when I get into the DMs. So I'll get into the DMs and that's why I do voice text a lot of the time because I can talk a lot faster than I can type.
For sure.
So I'll get on there and I'll just answer the questions back and back and back and back and forth. Right. And when I was living in Oregon, I would go for a walk every day. And on the walk, I would answer the DMs with a voice message. So it got, I was exercising, but I was also replying to the DMs, which people value so much. And they're so happy that they're able to get an answer, even if it's just like a 1 word or whatever, or something that can help them. Like sometimes I'll go into lots of detail with a person. Like if I feel like they really need more in-depth stuff, then I'll go into more detail. I also offer coaching. So it's like one-on-one Zoom calls if people really need like a lot more than just a quick answer, but I do try to answer everybody. And
you're good.
It doesn't take too much time if you're really focused. Like you don't get sidetracked with friends. I have my things split up into 2, like the primary and the general chat.
Yes.
So yeah, all my friends are in the primary. So I don't answer my friends unless I have time to like chat with them. But the general inbox, that's where most of the questions happen. And it's pretty easy to go through. It'll take maybe about 45 minutes in the morning. I'll spend replying to direct messages and then I'll do it again later on in the day. And I'm pretty much able to get through everybody. The hard part is when Nate and I go on like a weekend camping trip where I'm like don't have any internet at all. And then when I come back, there's like 100 messages or more in my inbox. I'm like,
oh my
but it just takes a little extra time to get through them all. But
yeah. What's your favorite thing about entrepreneurship, Lisa?
Being able to help people the way I am and being able to make my own schedule. Because I value my sleep so much and I value being able to create the food that I want to create. And even though I did it when I was doing my photography business and I was working with another company at the time when I started Raw, and I was still able to do it all. Like I had to go on location for photo shoots and I would take my lunch with me, just like I was going to an office. And when I would work with this other company, sometimes I'd be there for 6 to 8 hours, just like a regular 9-to-5 job. And I'd have to make my lunch in the morning and bring it with me. Right. So and a lot of people do think they're like, well, Lisa, you work from home. It's so much easier. But honestly, I feel like I have no time to do any of it, but like Nate does help obviously. But I purposefully aim to make sure that I get certain things done in order to have the life that I live right now. So, but it took years to get here and I'm so grateful to be in this position where I'm able to help everybody. And I feel like I can help more people being online than I can working at a 9-to-5 because I can only help X amount of people at a 9-to-5, whereas I can help countless people on social media. So that's my favorite part. I love that I can help.
And speaking of helping countless people, let's talk about bundles. When did you start doing bundles?
I joined a bundle the first time a couple years ago,
Okay.
and I had no idea what to expect. And the very first bundle that I joined, I didn't even promote it at all because I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I didn't get a lot of guidance. So I didn't make any money because I wasn't promoting that bundle. And then I joined a different bundle, and they were a lot more helpful with, kind of like what to expect, what to do, and how to share, blah, blah, blah. So I learned a lot from that. And I did make a fair amount of money because it's only available for like a week or two, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's such an amazing deal. You're getting like thousands of dollars worth of content for $50 or less, or like ours is $49. So it's like a steal of a deal. You're getting so much information, and it's only available for like 2 weeks. So definitely, if you ever see a bundle, definitely go check out the link and go see what's inside, because all the bundles are different in a way.
Yeah.
And after I did that bundle, I did those ones for a little while. I wanted to create a raw vegan bundle that was specifically 100% raw food, because I would be in other plant-based bundles, and I would be one of the, a select few raw foodies in there. And my followers want raw food. So
yeah.
I was like, let's do a raw food bundle. So I hooked up with my friend Chris Kendall from the Raw Vantage in Sweden, and we built.
I just interviewed him yesterday.
Nice.
I love Chris so much.
He's amazing. He's so compassionate, and he's such a good friend. So we got together and we created the ultimate raw vegan bundle. And for that bundle, we always want to have new products in it. So it's always going to be fresh. It's always going to be new. And then for this bundle, Chef AJ approached me, and she was like, let's do this bundle. I've been wanting to do this bundle for so long, but I never had like the back end tech on how to do it. And I know how to build a bundle. So I teamed up with her and we built this one together. I just did all the tech behind the scenes stuff. And it's such an amazing group of people, and it's very different from other bundles. And that's the beauty of it, because there's so many people in this bundle that haven't ever been in any other bundle. So it's in that aspect.
This is epic. And I think there are definitely a lot of like first timer bundle people. But this ultimate weight loss bundle, if hopefully you're listening to this episode during the time that it's available, because you're getting, like Lissa said, thousands of dollars worth of content. And it's not just recipes. This is like fitness. This is mindset. This is organization. Oh my gosh, you probably know more about what's in there, but like there is so much good stuff on how to, all of those things have to do with if you are on a weight loss journey, and not, we know that weight loss is not just about weight loss. It's not just about how you look. It's about how you feel, and it's about prolonging your life. We want to get to a healthy weight for our body so that we can live a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that this bundle is just going to, I think it's going to potentially change so many people's lives. I think that they're going to have all the tools that they need for $49 to get started. And they have access to so many health professionals and people who are just advocates and so passionate about living a healthful lifestyle in some, one way or another. I think it's just going to be so amazing. So make sure that you shop the link in the show notes so that you can grab the Ultimate Weight Loss Bundle. My contribution is my very first ebook. I've literally been talking about doing an ebook for probably 6 years now. And this pushed me to do it. And it's called The Secret is in the Sauce, because I believe that if people want to really stick to eating, whether it's completely raw or cooked, their fruits, their veggies, their legumes, their grains, their nuts, their seeds, that can be a little bit plain. And if you have an amazing sauce, you're so much more likely to stick to it, because you can dip, you can dip all day. You can scoop and you can pour and you can just make your taste buds happy. And you can also make your gut microbiome happy with sauces, because you're putting multiple ingredients in these things and feeding the microbiome that way. So I'm so excited and just thankful to be a part of this with you, Lissa. Before we go today, my friend, I always ask my guests this question, and it is, what does a holistic life mean to you? What does living holistically mean?
Good question. For me, it's so much more than diet. Obviously, a lot of people feel like diet is like the main big thing, but I feel like honestly, if there's one thing that I would say is like even more important than diet, it's sleep and like how we view ourselves. Our relationship with ourselves is more important than the diet, than the exercise, than all of that kind of stuff, right? Because if we love ourselves, we will do loving acts. And when we do loving acts, we then love ourselves more because we're taking care of ourselves. I mean, if you look at like the most expensive vehicle in the world, I think it's a Bugatti. I think it's $18 million or something like that. If somebody was gifted an $18 million vehicle, they would take care of it, most likely, right?
Yeah.
They would put the best gas in there. They would keep it clean. They would be really protective of it. But when we look at our own bodies, these are priceless vehicles that we've been gifted for free. Like they're the reason why we exist. They're the reason why people are listening to this podcast. This is the reason why you're able to experience life, have connections with friends and family, go out in nature and experience all the senses that we have to live in this body. And yet we take better care of our vehicles for the most part, or our objects that we buy, than we do our own bodies. So I believe a holistic living mostly stems from our relationship with ourselves, and of course sleep, because sleep, even if you're eating the healthiest diet in the world, if your sleep is off, then that can lower your lifespan. Just that alone can lower your lifespan. And I'm reading, I think I'm really on the sleep right now because I'm reading a book called Why We Sleep, and it's so intriguing. Like Nate and I go to bed at around 8:30 to 9:30 every night.
Same.
Yep. Yeah. And we work on getting our 8 hours of sleep. And I know like in the raw community, a lot of people will say, well, when you're raw, you need less sleep. But that's not the case. A diet cannot do what sleep can do. And I feel like a lot of people who in that community who say that you need less sleep are actually not eating enough, because they've done studies on hunter-gatherer tribes in modern day, and they naturally get less sleep because they eat less. So their body is kind of like, well, I need to stay up and get more fuel. So they naturally don't sleep as long. And that's like a theory that's going around right now based on sleep. And they also have a lower life expectancy. They average around 58 years instead of what it could be, right? In the blue zones, living over 100.
Right.
So even though our ancestors and even modern day hunter-gatherers aren't living as long as they could, because they don't understand what the new science says, right? Because they're not part of the science. And it's interesting to watch these groups of people who are living in a survival state, right? When we don't have to live in a survival state, we can still have a connection with nature. We can still go back to like what is more simple, what is more natural, while still doing what is best for the human body, which is eating adequate calories, which is getting enough sleep, which is practicing self-love, manifestation, relaxation, having good relationships, following your passion, right? There's so much that goes into having a fulfilling life. So yeah, I would say definitely it goes a lot more beyond just the diet. The diet's a big part of it, obviously, because we eat all the time and we need to thrive. But yeah, I think there's so many other things that a lot of people don't necessarily look at when they're looking at holistic health.
Totally agree. 100%. It's an overarching thing that we need to make sure that we're getting all of the spokes on the wheel covered. All right, Mel, where can we find you, or Alyssa? Her name is Melissa, so that's why I called her Mel. Where do you want us to follow you mainly?
The best places are Instagram, obviously. That's where I'm most active. So if anyone has a question, send me a DM at Raw Food Romance. That's where, again, I'm most active. I live on Instagram. Second place would be YouTube. And I'm Lissa's Raw Food Romance on YouTube. I do have a Facebook page, Lissa's Raw Food Romance, but I'm not as active over there. So yeah, definitely Instagram and YouTube. I also have a web-based meal planning app. at rawfoodromance.com, which is a monthly fee. It's a very small monthly fee, $5 a month. And it gets you access to the app recipes and the app meal plan, where it generates a 5-day meal plan every week, all raw, low fat, and it gives you like the macros and everything. It even generates a grocery list for what you have in your meal plan. You can swap recipes out if you want. You can add your own recipes if you want. It's a pretty cool app.
That's awesome.
So that's available as well. But yeah, Instagram, YouTube, those are my top two.
Awesome. Oh, friend, thank you so much for spending time today and sharing your energy. We all appreciate you, and we cannot wait for all of our listeners to get the hands on the bundle. Do not forget to grab it when it is on sale. So
Yes.
Thanks, Lissa. You are amazing.
Thank you. Likewise. It was so awesome to chat. So thank you. Be well.